This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not medical advice.
Have you ever had a gut feeling that turned out to be right? Or walked into a room and immediately sensed tension without anyone saying a word? Maybe you've wondered if there's more to life than what we can physically see and touch. Today's conversation explores a fascinating question. Are we simply physical beings navigating a physical world, or are there deeper dimensions to who we are? What if understanding those dimensions could help us better understand our relationships, our health, our purpose, and even ourselves? Let's dive into the conversation that just might stretch the way you think about life.
Nice.
So, welcome to the Happy, Healthy Her podcast, the space where we empower, engage, educate, and inspire women in midlife and beyond. I'm Lorraine Kihm, a certified hypnotherapist and mental wellness coach, and I will be your host for today. Cynthia's having some technical difficulties and couldn't make it today. Tracey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tracey Mail. I'm just a natural health advocate, and I host my own YouTube show called Conversations That Heal on my channel, Nature's Protege. Looking forward to today, yeah.
Me too. Thanks, Tracey.
Okay.
So today we are joined by Dr. Eleanor Haspel-Portner. She passionately synthesizes areas of esoteric wisdom and scientific discovery. Her PhD from the University of Chicago gives her a unique integrative background and perspective. She has published numerous best-selling books and helped thousands of individuals, couples, and groups synthesize life experiences in practical ways for living healthy, successful, and creative lives. For over 50 years, Dr. Eleanor has been a pioneer in scientific spirituality, helping people understand themselves on a deeper level. She developed a proven system that has guided over 45,000 individuals toward clarity, confidence, and meaningful change in both life and work. Dr. Eleanor, welcome to the Happy, Healthy Her podcast.
I'm happy to be here with you.
No,
I think we're going to have a great deal of fun.
I think so too. So, multiple dimensions can be one of those icebreakers that you're really not sure how it's going to go. So, what is it that you do when you want to talk about your work and you might be in mixed company or might not really know whether or not people will receive what you're talking about well?
I usually listen more than speak. And I'm very good at reading energy. So I look for openings and I look for where I can say something that would be kind and transformational. And when I realized some of my gifts as a psychic and realized that I can read energy, it took me a long time, 5 years, to turn it off so that I could consciously see or not see. Because I found seeing too much about people energetically was too intrusive, not only to them, in terms of me entering a space that I wasn't invited into, but also it was intrusive for me to know things about somebody that I didn't want to know. And the clincher for it, for me, was being at the airport in Phoenix with my mother many, many years ago. And I looked over, and the lady at the next table was going to die in 24 hours.
Oh, no.
And I just started crying. And I said to my mother, what do I do with this? You know, I don't want to know this. I don't want to see this. And it was at that point that I took studying my psychic ability very seriously and learning how to see and how not to see. So I don't look unless I'm invited in.
Right.
And I don't, even with clients, I wait to be invited because nobody wants their space invaded. And yet, I'm very good at that, listening and hearing the soul. And my real work, which is on the 4 worlds of consciousness, delineated in the Tree of Life, validated by me scientifically through the expansion of the human design system, which I found to be a faulty system. It's an incomplete system, to be accurate. So I do have a system where I can see people's energy in a concrete scientific way. But I know that everybody wants their soul to be listened to. And we live in a culture that's left soul out of the equation. So it's become my mission to teach people how to live by their soul and to know what they know and to trust it. And I'm about to open my training to professionals because although I think the real issue is parenting and teaching and bringing children into the recognition of who they are, not who they're supposed to be.
Right.
But I think that my route into that will reach a wider audience if I teach professionals how to teach parents.
Interesting.
Wow. I am always so blown away at the guests that we have on this show and how they show up at such a synchronicity time, because I haven't even shared with my co-hosts that I have been studying human design for the last 2 weeks. And your name popped up in my research. And I didn't make the connection between you, your name, and you coming on today, because I wasn't going to be the host today. I hadn't done all of the background research. And so as you were speaking, I was like, oh my gosh, I just read about her. And when you were talking about the 4 worlds and everything. So first, I'd like to commend you on you finding a way to shut off and turn on your ability, because it is so important that we are invited into that kind of knowledge.
Well, it's also, you know, because I have expanded the human design into noble energy maps, and I look at 8 different time frames. So I'm using multiple calculations and looking at how somebody developmentally picks up energy. And it's a process, it's not frozen. But so many people are energy sensitive and don't know it. And my husband's an example. He's an MD. And his first memory is of touching somebody's knee and feeling the pain in his knee. And when we were first together and he was back in practice, he'd come into the house at the end of the day and I'd look at him and I go, who did you see today? This isn't you.
Wow.
And we would actually track whose energy he picked up. So many people now with the cosmic events. I did a June 14th new moon YouTube, and I used my noble energy maps as well as astrology. And what's interesting is we're in a 3-month period where everybody is being triggered emotionally. And everybody is open splenically. So the people who are really sensitive are sensitive in spades. And the people who are reactive are going to be even more bent out of shape. So it's what I have found, and really my clinical work is the crux of my work, because the charts, the noble energy maps, they're beautiful, they're profound. I know things about people reading them that changes their life in one session. But the real work is that we live in 4 worlds, and that the soul is really where people need to anchor themselves. Because if they're not living who they really are, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be successful. And, you know, the name of your podcast is Healthy. You can't be healthy if you don't love what you do and do what you love with people you love.
I agree. Tracey and Cynthia and I pretty much started what we're doing based on that theme, you know, finding that people weren't happy, you know, that they weren't living out either their purpose or their healthiest life or their pain-free life or their mentally well life. And so it kind of got us going to try to help. So you speak of the noble energy maps. So could you explain a little bit, maybe just foundationally, so that our audience can get a better idea of what you mean by that?
And
yes, the human design gives you a body map, but it only gives it to you in one world, in the mental waking world.
Okay.
And astrology uses one calculation, the birth time. We aren't designed in one moment in time. So I was trained, by the time I met human design, I was already a psychologist in private practice. I had my PhD is from the University of Chicago, Committee on Human Development. It's now called the Department of Comparative Human Development. But it was sociology, anthropology, psychology, and biology. The 4 worlds. I didn't know I was studying the 4 worlds. Then I started meditating. Then I started having Kundalini experiences. And along the way, recognizing that there were missing pieces in my clinical practice. Why, when I was working with couples, didn't I have the skills to transform that relationship for them? Or why, when my kids were young, I was already a developmental psychologist, and when they were 2 years old and had a tantrum, I didn't know what to do with them. Because you don't learn in your training how to deal with practical in life people. And how do you protect your child's soul? At the same time, you have to tell them no. And there's skills involved in that, and attitude, and energy. And I began realizing, and I started, along the way I studied everything. You know, a consultant on hypnotherapy, I was president of Hypnosis Society. I studied sex therapy with Masters and Johnson. I studied Sedona method and imago therapy, and I mean, everything, because I kept looking for what's going to work. I'd hit a wall with the client and I'd say, wait a minute, there must be a way in.
Right.
And so I'm a researcher, I'm a social scientist, and I love learning. So, okay, I have to figure this out. And so I kept studying. And I met an astrologer in 1973 who changed my life. She said to me, I was living in Chicago, and she said, well, dear, you're going to move. I said, Katie, I just unpacked my books after 12 years. Why would I move? She said, well, dear, if you're going to sign this contract for your office, at least let me pick a date so you can get out of the contract. So I did. Sure enough, I went to California in 1976 to a Jungian conference, trained as a Jungian analyst, and it was home. And I moved. I took my kids and I moved. And then I went to India and I met my husband. So I'm a seeker. And I kept studying. And when I met human design, it spoke to me because it synthesized the tree of life, which I had studied, astrology, which I had studied, tarot, which I had studied, and it was the model that Jung used of self-actualization. And it spoke to four worlds. So when Ra Uru-Hu, who brought us the human design, asked my husband and myself to validate it scientifically, Marvin's an MD, he said, yes. I'm the social scientist, and I said, I don't know that I want to do this.
Right.
It fell to me to do it. So 30,000 matched sample later, I knew what worked and what was not working in human design, and that it's an incomplete system. So based on twin kittens, I was able to expand the system. And when I expanded it astrologically, it hit every developmental marker in the first 3 months of life. And the pediatric literature says that the first 3 months of life are the missing fourth trimester of pregnancy.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
do either of you have children?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know that if your baby hadn't reached for an object or smiled at you by the time it was 3 months old, you would have worried. 3 months is when a baby reaches for objects, knows who they prefer to be with, picks what they want to play with, and what they respond to. And that's the chart. All of the 8 that I calculate. So I'm using mental world, spiritual world, emotional world, which is the emotional higher mind, not the emotional reactivity. Because it's only in the mental waking world, the world of our day-to-day life, and our physical biological world, that we have a solar plexus. So emotional reactions are of the mundane world. Spiritually, all we feel is compassion and love. And so the noble energy maps show me the 8 charts and the composites of the prenatal world, the postnatal world, and the total world. And based on my research on now 45,000 cases, I can say without any hesitation that 99% of the population are here to manifest their full potential by the time they're 3 months old.
Wow.
And they are manifesting generators. We are here to be self-actualized. And anyone who tells you otherwise is giving you misinformation.
Okay, so
ahead.
those
No,
of
go
us
ahead.
that are in our 50s and beyond, how do we know we reached that 3 months? How did we reach that?
Most people, when I do a reading for someone,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of YouTube readings I do that are public readings. I do them every Friday. So you can listen to some of the readings if you want to on YouTube. But what I generally see is somebody's process, how they make decisions, what the timing is. As a rule of thumb, I would say if you have an important decision to make, wait a week. Because it takes a week for the spirit to anchor. That's why in Judaism, the bris occurs after a week. In Catholicism, in traditional old-time Catholicism, the baptism was after a week. In many Aborigine societies, they don't name the baby for a week. So we have the documentation of the tree of life, of developmental timing. I can see in the charts, for example, that 2 days after birth, when the mother's milk comes down, it's attachment. And you can see it in the charts. So the four worlds is the structure and the theory that comes out of the tree of life. My noble energy maps are documentation that the science of that is real. Developmentally, physiologically, astrologically, every which way you measure it.
Interesting.
So you mentioned manifesting generators. So did I hear you wrong? Do you think everyone is one, or were you just speaking about?
Everyone is a manifest.
Okay.
Not
okay.
everyone, but
Right.
most people
Right.
at 3 months of age become a manifesting generator. So one of the early, my dog is barking.
That's okay.
One of the, I'm going to close my door.
Okay. No problem. So you might be.
One of the things that I lost my train of thought.
Manifesting generator 3 months.
What happens is the charts show somebody's process. And the process is what we're born with. And then at different very critical times in early development, the planets impact us. And so if I'm looking at the charts with all of that impacted energy over the first 3 months of life, and then bringing it together as a unified whole, and I can see how your energy moves. So one of the early keys to me, and I was sitting on my patio with two ladies who came to see me for their charts. And at that point, all I had was the human design chart and what Ra called the dream design, the lunar design when you sleep. And Ra was in my living room. So I'm sitting with these two ladies looking at their charts. One was a generator who, when she slept, became a reflector. And the other one was a projector who became a generator. So I looked at the one who was sacrally defined in her waking life, and I said, so you think you know what's right for you when you go to sleep at night, and you wake up the next morning and you go, what was I thinking? And the other lady, I said, and you go to sleep at night not knowing what to do, and you wake up in the morning and you go, oh, that's it. And they both said to me, how did you know?
Yeah.
So here I was, new to this. And this was after Ra asked me to validate it. And we were getting ready to teach the first class to professionals. And he gave me the dream design because he thought it was a throwaway. He said, I don't know what to do with this. You do something with it. So I go running into my living room and I said to Ra, look at this. Type changes when we sleep, and it makes a difference in how somebody functions. And he looked at me and said, nah, dreams don't mean anything. So I went out and I said to the ladies, this is really important. And it gave me the insight that type isn't frozen in one moment in time, that we're fluid beings. And over that first 3 months of life, how we process energy is especially important.
Do you hear that
I'm
noise?
hearing something.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
What does it sound like?
You got an
A
air
whoosh.
conditioner on there? Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, whatever you just turned off there.
I apologize.
Yeah, it was really loud.
I had a desk fan on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, it was, it sounded like a truck going
On our
by.
other recording program, you guys never heard it, but this must be a really good one.
Wow.
So I'll
Maybe
just
it's the
sit sweat
aspect.
for the rest of the time. Well,
So,
this is really,
the system, the noble energy maps and human design is an incomplete system, and it's disempowering to people. Because, for example, Rob told me I was a manifester. And I see in my chart how I am a manifester. And clinically, I'm very skilled at knowing if somebody's in their soul or not. But I would say to Rob, I'm not a manifester. I wait. Where is it that I wait? And I wait and I wait and I wait until I know because I know because I know. He couldn't find it. But when I did the charts that I do, there it was. I'm a lunar generator. So I wait until I know.
right.
And I've waited 20 years to go public with my noble energy maps in a big way because the timing wasn't right. And I waited until God told me to go public.
Nice.
And it was actually a voice that told me to go public.
Wow.
Twice,
Yeah.
because I was a reluctant participant.
Right.
That's interesting. When you talk about the lunar design, is that like when you, for regular people, right? You're in bed, you've had an issue you couldn't figure out, right? You go to bed and then you wake up and you have the answer. I think that's what you said, right?
Yes,
So that's,
some people.
yeah, that is me to a T. Like that's, if I
So
can't figure something
you
out.
are not,
yeah.
have you ever had your design done?
No. I think I'm about to soon here. Once I get off of here.
I'm going to be doing on June 25th.
Okay.
I'm doing a 4-hour master class for free on beyond human design and using the 4 worlds.
Cool.
Well, I'll be very interested in that because I have been studying human design recently. And for those at home, we're not going to really go into much with the human design during this podcast, only because we want to stay true to Dr. Eleanor and her noble energy maps and kind of do that. So for those of you listening, you can look up human design, you can look up Ra. He has many websites, and I've been studying myself, and I do know my chart somewhat, but this is still very interesting for the average listener who is just trying to make sense of excuse me, some of the differences in behavior and the way that their energy flows. You know, people who, as you were saying, 2 different people. someone going to sleep and getting the answer in the morning, someone going to sleep and thinking, what was I thinking? And there are just different ways that we
But
all
you're not going to
handle
see
it.
that in a human design chart.
Yes, yes.
And the problem with the design chart is that it's formulaic.
Yeah.
You're a generator or a projector, and they use profile. And my research proved that profile is an artifact. It has no meaning whatsoever. However, the key words for the sun and the earth, or the moon and its opposition, does have meaning because it's process. So you want to look at any charts, even astrology. It doesn't, when I do a reading for someone, I do their astrology as well as their human design, because human design or noble energy maps gives you the placement of the planets, doesn't tell you the house they're in. And in astrology, the house is very important because it tells you the area of life that's being impacted by that planetary body. So it's like psychology. It's like when people bat around the term, he's a narcissist. What does that mean? There's all levels of narcissism.
Right.
And true narcissists are rare. Can people be difficult? Some of my clients, I remember, who had narcissistic type personalities, it was always a yes, but. Yes, but.
Yes, but.
Because they didn't want to take in the information.
Right, right.
Both of you have had that experience with clients, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but.
Yes, but. And as a clinician, our job is to move around it and to find a way in. And so what I found clinically using the 4 worlds is that each world has specific communication. So for example, when I'm talking to somebody's soul, I never say to them, what does it look like? Or what is it, how does it sound to you? I would say, what do you know about this? Because knowing is the soul. Labeling is the mind.
Yeah.
And also, emotional reactivity is physiologic. So we use lie detector tests. Why? Because it's a galvanic skin response. What affects us from the mental waking world goes into our body first. When it's not right for us, we react unconsciously. When we react unconsciously and we get upset, we react. But it's not who we are. So we have to take a beat. And so part of the teaching of the 4 worlds is you take emotional reactivity and you transform it using your higher intuitive mind, your soul, to compassion and love.
Nice.
And right now, that's the cultural challenge.
Yes.
Indeed.
Definitely the cultural
Indeed.
challenge.
Yes. Do you believe in, again, I don't know what all you get into, but I think my one grandson is an old soul. He's very young, and his personality, everything about him is just, he's somebody else that came over, back over.
Right.
It's so cool to see that, right? His compassionate with other, he'll see another child.
I would talk to him about memories.
Yeah, okay.
And what's familiar to him. One of my first Kundalini experiences that changed my life, I was badgering myself. And I was sitting one evening and I was saying, of what am I afraid? Of what am I afraid? I had just started meditating, and I had recently divorced my first husband. And I had 2 young kids, so I was a single mom, no money. And I'm saying, of what am I afraid? And a light came in and a voice. And I was shown that at the moment of death, we have all knowledge. And in that moment between life and death, we have all knowledge. And then we incarnate having forgotten what we knew. And so in that moment, I knew that reincarnation was real. And I have had past life memories that I've been able to document. And my daughter had a past life memory, and I was able to hypnotize her back to the time and get the date that lifetime person was born.
Oh, nice.
And we validated the existence.
Wow.
And it changed her. But so for a child, with my oldest grandson, he was a preemie. I didn't know what to expect. And one day he's laying on my floor like this, and I couldn't get him to look at me. And then he's looking around like that, and out of my mouth comes, "Oh, you're seeing energy." And he looked directly at me and he smiled.
Nice.
And I said to my daughter, do not condition it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So he can see things that nobody else can see.
Nice. That's so nice.
And he's now a grown man. And when he's very into nature and insects. And he was the youngest person ever to be admitted to the Lorraine Society, which studies insects.
Nice.
And he can see something that nobody else can see, a little bug. And he's obviously seeing something energetic. And he's very sensitive. So I would begin asking your grandson, what do you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
he's
that
absolutely-
energy, what do you know about that energy? What do you see about that energy? What do you feel about? We don't know what modality he's using. So I wouldn't limit it.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
The mental world uses auditory, visual, and kinesthetic cues. It's the only world that does. So language that uses that language limits people to the mental waking world.
Right. Makes sense.
So it's, one of the things I teach is how to use the world-specific language.
More
I
like
wonder-
animals, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
What?
More like animals. Like animals use that
Yep.
language. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. And at my peak, we had 13 cats.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Because this guy, my logo, Noble, was my first cat, lived to 22, and he changed my life. And he worked with me. So without him, I don't know that I would have had the courage to do the work I did.
Oh.
But when he died is when my vet friend said, if you've never had kittens, you need a litter of kittens. So 13 cats later, I had twin kittens. And those twins were the ones I used to validate my charts.
So that's where it comes from. I heard you say twin kittens, and I wanted to come back to that, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I also wanted to mention a little bit, because I think that this is very cool too. I always am fascinated at our ancient wisdoms, where the human design, what little I know about it, but studying it, it uses several, wisdoms, the Kabbalah, the chakra system,
Supposedly.
astrology, all of that. So, and you were mentioning it some more, the tree of life and things like that. So I'm always so fascinated to learn that even our ancient civilizations somehow had some very forward
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
types of systems, even without the tools that we have now,
Well,
and so,
they probably had tools that we don't use.
right.
And the tree of life actually dates back to Babylonian times. And when it was brought by Moses from Egypt into Israel, he left out the vowels, except for the Jewish mystics. So the secrets were kept secret. And now more of it's out. And, I studied the Kabbalistic. Ra, when I asked Ra, so Ra, what did the voice tell you about the tree of life? What did it tell you about the tarot? And he said, oh, we don't need any of that. All we need is the human design. And he dismissed it. And I said, no, Ra, what did it say? What did the voice tell you? And he said, the only thing the voice told him about tarot was that the major arcana are in the ajna, the throat, and the self. So it took me quite a while to figure out how that worked, but I did it.
Right.
And he wanted me to throw out all my astrology books and all of the other disciplines because he said human design is all you need. He was really wrong, because human design is such a partial system. Now, it expands astrology if you use it right with noble energy maps, because we have multiple time frames to look at to tell us how somebody functions. And my guess is that the ancient astrologers, using the astrology with the other esoteric tools, knew a lot more than we're using.
Absolutely.
And that the deep state did not want us to be conscious.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to get quantum energy into the conversation. Can you give us a little bit of that aspect?
I don't think about it like that, but
Oh, okay.
if I do think about it like that, to me, the word quantum means beyond. It's something that is not measurable by ordinary standards. And there are so many connections between all the fields and synchronicities. And it's all pointing to a very complex network, like a computer network, where everything is coded and we need to decode who we are. And it's about knowing ourselves and our process and using our own energy in interfacing with the energy of the proper world to break away from the limitation of the mind. And then we have all knowledge. In my Kundalini experience with reincarnation, I was also shown about relationships and what they are. And I wrote a book about that, based on that. But when I sat down, everything I had ever learned went through my mind. And I knew that all knowledge is just remembering. We know everything, but we forgot it.
Yeah.
So when you talk quantum, we are quantum. All we need to do is open to it.
Is that something you can teach people to do?
Yes.
Okay.
When I look at a noble energy map and I see how people process their own energy, and I validate, mostly what I hear from people is nobody ever understood me the way you're describing it. Or I knew that was true about me. And especially the people who are so sensitive and empaths who pick up energy and don't know that they do and feel it. And especially now, because we're in an open splenic center cosmically, and people who are open are being inundated, as is the Earth with the solar flares.
Yes.
So we're living in biblical times. And it's a great time to be alive.
It is. It actually is. So if someone wanted to learn more about you, Dr. Eleanor, where should they go?
My website is nobleenergywellness.com. And right on the homepage, there's a 4-world assessment, which anyone can fill out for free and then have a short consult with me to go over it about how they're living in the 4 worlds, because we want to be balanced. Also, I'm going to be teaching on June 25th on Beyond Human Design, the 4 worlds. And I have a YouTube channel, also Noble Energy Wellness. And Noble Energy Maps is about to be released. It's currently an app in the Apple Store. But we are about to release an iPhone app and an Android app. And that should be ready by the time my lecture is next week.
Nice.
Can you tell us
what's the app about?
YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
What?
We're coming at you.
Sorry.
I was curious what the app.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the app? What the app is about?
The Noble Energy Maps is an app, so people can do their own charts.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Sorry. Good. Thank you.
And your lecture, will that be on your YouTube channel?
No, it's a master class, and it will be free for anyone who registers. My YouTube channel has readings on it and other things, and lots of podcasts.
Can they register for your master class on your website?
You know, I don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
But anyone can email me at ehp@noblesciences.com if they want to register for the master class, and I will make sure they get an email.
Nice. If you have a link,
wonderful.
if you do have a link for it, you can send us the link and we can add it into the notes.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, good.
I will do that.
Perfect.
Yes,
That's
we'll
easier.
collect all of your information and we'll put it in the notes of the show.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I will have Roz send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Good.
Wonderful.
And I think there's a link to it on my LinkedIn page.
Okay. I'll
That's
check
good.
that out. I think I saw
And
you
I
on
also
LinkedIn.
have quite a few bestsellers on Amazon.
My goodness, we're going to be busy.
If anybody wants to see the science about human design, one of the books, I wrote 13 books with Ra. So one of the books was The Science of Human Design.
Okay.
And I published all of my research, including a commentary on what holds and what does not.
Oh,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
Interesting. Very, very cool.
So I've published a few of the books that I did with Ra, and combined a number of them, and then there's the other ones I did by myself.
Okay. Nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a very eye-opening
It's been
and
great.
enlightening conversation, and we're very happy to have had you today.
Thank you. And I am happy to look at your charts if you want me to.
Nice.
Oh, well, I'll definitely take you up on that.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Okay.
if you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone else who could use it. So we'd love to hear from you, what your thoughts are about this show and any of our shows. So please join us on many of our links. So remember, in a world where you can be anything, be happy, be healthy, and be kind. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Happy Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with anyone you think would benefit from the topics we're discussing. We'd love to hear from you. DM us with your thoughts, comments, or ideas for future episodes. And don't forget to check out the links in our bio if you'd like to connect with any of us or learn more about what we do. Until next time, remember, in a world where you can be anything, be kind, be happy, and be healthy.